What if I told you that one moment of trust could have prevented the fall of the Galactic Republic, saved thousands of Jedi, and kept Darth Vader from ever existing? We're talking about the single most devastating breakdown in communication in Star Wars history. Today we're exploring what would have happened if Anakin Skywalker had actually trusted Obi-Wan Kenobi in Revenge of the Sith. And trust me, the implications are absolutely wild. Before we get started, I want you to think about this for a second. Throughout the entire prequel trilogy, Obi-Wan has been the one constant in Anakin's life. He's been his master, his brother, his friend. Yet, when it matters most, when Anakin is standing at the edge of the abyss, he can't bring himself to confide in the one person who might actually be able to help him. So let's break down exactly how this one change would ripple through the entire saga. Let's set the scene properly. Anakin has just learned that Chancellor Palpatine is actually Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord the Jedi have been hunting for years. He's conflicted because Palpatine has promised him the power to save Padmé from dying in childbirth, something Anakin has been having visions about. In the actual timeline, Anakin reports Palpatine to Mace Windu, but he doesn't tell him the whole truth. He doesn't mention his personal stake in this, and he certainly doesn't confide in Obi-Wan, who's conveniently been sent to Utapau to deal with General Grievous. But here's where things get interesting. What if, instead of keeping his fears bottled up, Anakin had gone to Obi-Wan first? What if he'd actually opened up about the visions, about Padmé, about everything Palpatine had been whispering in his ear? Now, based on everything we know about Obi-Wan, from both the films and the expanded materials, including Matthew Stover's novelization of Revenge of the Sith, we can predict how he would respond. Obi-Wan is not the rigid, by-the-book Jedi that Anakin sometimes perceives him to be. Remember, this is the man who had his own forbidden attachment to Duchess Satine. He understands love and loss in ways that other Jedi Council members might not. So let's walk through this conversation. Anakin comes to Obi-Wan's quarters before his departure to Utapau. He's desperate, conflicted, and finally ready to be vulnerable. He tells Obi-Wan everything: the dreams about Padmé dying, his secret marriage, Palpatine's revelation that he's a Sith Lord, and his promises about saving her through the dark side. Obi-Wan's initial reaction would likely be shock. Absolutely. But here's the crucial difference from how someone like Mace Windu might respond. Obi-Wan loves Anakin like a brother. More than that, he understands the weight of attachments. In this moment, instead of lecturing Anakin about the Jedi Code, Obi-Wan would recognize that his former Padawan needs support, not judgment. Based on Obi-Wan's character across all the source material, he would likely do several things. First, he'd validate Anakin's fears about losing Padmé. He wouldn't dismiss the visions outright, because the Force does provide glimpses of possible futures. Second, and this is critical, he'd help Anakin understand that visions of the future are not set in stone. They show possibilities, not certainties. He might even reference his own experiences or those of other Jedi who had troubling visions that never came to pass. Third, and perhaps most importantly, Obi-Wan would address the Palpatine situation strategically. He knows that Anakin has been manipulated by Palpatine for years. Instead of immediately running to the Council, Obi-Wan might suggest they handle this together, as a team. This unity would be the key difference. Now, here's where our alternate timeline really diverges. With Obi-Wan fully informed and standing by Anakin's side, they approach the Jedi Council together. But the dynamics are completely different now. Anakin isn't acting alone, driven by desperation and fear. He has his anchor, his brother, supporting him. Obi-Wan's presence lends credibility to Anakin's claims, and more importantly, Obi-Wan can advocate for a more measured approach to confronting Palpatine. When Mace Windu prepares to arrest the Chancellor, Obi-Wan would likely insist on being part of the team, which means he wouldn't be sent to Utapau at this critical moment. His presence in this confrontation changes everything. Anakin wouldn't be left alone in the Jedi Temple, stewing in his fears and doubts. He'd be with Obi-Wan, the one person who could keep him grounded. When they confront Palpatine in his office, the situation plays out very differently. Palpatine tries his usual manipulation tactics on Anakin, but this time, Obi-Wan is there to counter every argument. When Palpatine speaks of saving Padmé, Obi-Wan can remind Anakin that the Sith Lord has been lying to him all along. The promises of power to prevent death, they're the same lies the Sith have told for millennia. In this timeline, Palpatine is either captured or killed by the Jedi Strike Team. Without Anakin's intervention to save him, Palpatine can't execute Order 66, at least not in the way we see in the actual timeline. The clone troopers don't receive the command to eliminate the Jedi. The Republic doesn't transform into the Empire overnight. But let's think deeper about what this means for the galaxy. With Palpatine exposed and defeated, the Clone Wars would effectively end. The Separatist leadership, which Palpatine controlled through Count Dooku and then General Grievous, would collapse without their puppet master. The Republic could begin actual peace negotiations with systems that had legitimate grievances. For Anakin personally, the transformation is even more profound. He doesn't fall to the dark side. He doesn't become Darth Vader. He doesn't lose Padmé in the way he feared. You see, in the original timeline, it's heavily implied that Anakin's turn to the dark side and his actions on Mustafar are what actually caused Padmé's death. She dies of a broken heart after seeing what he's become. In our alternate timeline, that never happens. Padmé survives childbirth. Luke and Leia grow up with both parents, raised in a galaxy that's slowly healing from years of war. Let's zoom out and consider what this means for the entire Star Wars saga. Without Darth Vader, the Empire never reaches its full tyrannical potential. The Jedi Order, while probably still in need of reform, isn't decimated. They can learn from their mistakes during the Clone Wars and adapt to a new era. Anakin, freed from his fears and having learned to trust others with his vulnerabilities, could become the great Jedi he was meant to be. Some fans on Reddit have even speculated that Anakin might leave the Jedi Order to be with his family openly, potentially helping to create a new understanding of what it means to be a Force user who embraces connection rather than detachment. The twins, Luke and Leia, would have completely different destinies. They wouldn't need to become the last hope for the galaxy, because the galaxy wouldn't be in such desperate need of saving. They could be trained as Jedi from birth, learning from both their father and Obi-Wan, combining Anakin's raw power with Obi-Wan's wisdom and restraint. And that's the beautiful tragedy of Revenge of the Sith, isn't it? The entire fall of Anakin Skywalker hinges on his inability to trust the people who love him most. Palpatine spent years isolating Anakin, making him believe that the Jedi didn't understand him, that they would judge him, that only Palpatine truly cared about what he wanted. And in that crucial moment, Anakin believed the lie. But if he had just trusted Obi-Wan, if he had been vulnerable enough to share his fears and burdens, the entire galaxy would have been saved from decades of tyranny and suffering. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest strength isn't power or skill with a lightsaber. Sometimes it's the courage to ask for help from the people who care about you. What do you think? Would Obi-Wan have been able to save Anakin if given the chance? How different would the Star Wars saga be without Darth Vader? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Star Wars content. Until next time, may the